I'm Shoestring Jane. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about small things that can save you big money over the long term. So these are things that I think are essential habits if you want to attain and maintain a frugal lifestyle. So here are 10. My first is don't waste food. So make sure you use leftovers, make sure you freeze them if you can't use them. I find that they're really helpful for next day lunches, and if you've got a microwave at work you could maybe take them to work instead of a packed lunch. So you could freeze them and you've got a ready meal in your freezer as well. That's quite good. And be really aware of what's in your fridge and what needs using first. I know some people have a shelf which is a use it first shelf, which is a really good idea, I think. So if you've got a family, maybe kids come home from school and they're really hungry and they go straight to the fridge, have a shelf and say these things need eating first so that they don't get wasted. Things like bread, for us, because there's only two of us, we tend to freeze loaves as we buy them because we'll only use a couple of slices at a time. We don't eat masses of bread. Sliced bread defrosts in about, I don't know, 5 minutes, if that. So you can just get a couple of slices out when you want to make a sandwich and leave them on the side and they'll defrost. Or I use a lot of toast anyway and I toast it straight from frozen. So if you find you're like me and you don't use bread very quickly and it's liable to go mouldy and stale, then just freeze it or freeze half a loaf. You can even do that with the family. So the other thing is to make stock. So I love making soup. Soups are really good for using up odds and ends of vegetables in the fridge as well, I've found, and stuff from the freezer as well. You can make stock. If you want to make a vegetable stock, you can just save up all your vegetable peelings and maybe keep them in a freezer bag, and then when you've got lots of them, stick them in your crock pot or stick them in a big saucepan with some bay leaves and peppercorns and maybe some herbs, some onions, celery, a bit of carrot perhaps, and just cover them, boil them up for a couple of hours and you've got a vegetable stock. You can do the same thing. I do it a lot with poultry bones, so a poultry carcass. I'll save a couple up in the freezer. When I've got at least two, I will make a big pot of stock in the same way. I'll add an onion, some celery, that kind of thing. Won't chop them up too much. Boil them up for maybe 3 or 4 hours, and you've got a really delicious, flavoursome stock to use as the basis for a nice frugal soup or stew. And make sure you meal plan your meals for the week. Take into account things like, well, maybe the children have got a club one night, or maybe you've got a class one night, or you're late back from work certain nights. Take that into account. You're likely to want something very quick and easy, so make sure you've got something in so that you just don't go, let's get a takeaway, I'm really exhausted. Make a shopping list based on your meal plan, and then you'll only buy what you need, and you save lots of money doing these things on your grocery bill. So the next thing on my list is to use everything up, use every single bit of everything that you have spent your money on. So that means squeezing out the last of the shampoo, the toothpaste, the ketchup, the mayonnaise, etc. Whatever you've got that comes in a squeezy tube, basically. Squeeze it up, squeeze it out, or with me, I tend to, with little tubes like this, I haven't got a tube squeezer. You can get those and they're really good. Haven't invested in one of those yet, so I tend to do a lot of this kind of thing. I want to get to the last of this moisturiser. There's still a little bit in there. I'll just chop it off and then I'll put that on like that, like a lid, until I'm ready, until it's finished, and then it'll go in the plastic recycling. So that's quite good, just to think about using everything up. You've paid for these things, you want to use every bit of it. Things like ketchup and things that contain a bit of vinegar, you can add a tiny bit of vinegar to them and that will loosen it from the sides, and it's easier to use up than sauces as well. The same with shampoo and washing up liquid, and when you get to the last bit, just add a little bit of water and then you can shake it around and use it up, and it's perfectly good. I tend to dilute those things anyway, to be perfectly honest, and people will do the same size squirt so they last longer. So that's my next one, use it up. And number 3 on my list is buy second hand. So when you need something but you're deciding you're going to buy it second hand, it may be that you've got to be a little bit patient and wait a little while before you find exactly the thing that you need at the right price. So that's one thing, you do have to be a bit patient, but the savings are worth it. So yes, you can go out and buy a new gizmo or gadget, whatever it is you need, immediately, but you will save a lot of money by trying to source it secondhand. You can buy a lot of things that are almost in new condition secondhand. I'm on a no spend year, and I really have found it very easy to find everything that I need secondhand so far. There's very little that can't be found secondhand. You just need to get into the habit of waiting a bit, and then you might decide that you actually don't need that thing after all when it comes to it, so you save yourself money that way too. The next thing on my list is to reuse stuff you already have. Find a new purpose for things, and then you won't have to buy something new for that, whatever it is you want. So you can reuse envelopes by placing a label over the address. You can buy special labels. I remember Greenpeace used to sell them years ago. They're just a sticky label that go right over, seal it, and enable you to write the new address on the front. But I tend to use just a freezer label, to be perfectly honest, a bit of sellotape to reuse the envelope. Envelopes that come with things, like in junk mail, or sometimes the bank send you things. You never use them because you can do everything online now. This kind of envelope, it still can be sealed, so I just really need to just put a new address label over the top. So something like that is worth keeping. I've got piles of those that I keep. You can also staple old envelopes together when you've received things as shopping lists, or just scrap paper. I mean, I had a load of scrap paper here. I stapled them together, and they're really good for notepads or shopping lists, as I say, and things like that. So I find those kind of things really useful, and it saves things from going immediately into the recycling. They get another lease of life first. Many containers can be reused for perhaps storing leftovers. I find like plastic ice cream containers really good for freezing my soup that I make, or just storing leftovers in the fridge. Margarine containers, little yogurt pots can be used to start your plants if you grow your own fruit and vegetables, for example, or your own flowers in the garden. You can also use glass jars to make little tea light holders for the garden, maybe, or just for inside. And I use this glass jar I reused it, rather. It's an old pickle jar. You might have seen this in a recent vlog. I just fab blonde the top so that it goes with the decor in the kitchen, and it's got some tea bags in it. So that kind of thing. I mean, you could have rows and rows of jars. It's quite it looks quite nice if you've got open shelving to have rows of jars. You can't always buy really nice ones, but you tend to have these kind of things, and they're easy enough to pick up. Look in other people's recycling. Something I found in the recycling bin of somebody down the road when I was walking the dog was this can, and I just thought, oh, that would make a really nice planter. So for the garden, so I'm going to make some holes in the bottom, and that can be a planter. So Justin thought I was a bit bonkers doing that, but I think that's an interesting thing. It looks a bit different, and I like it anyway. So cereal and bread bags as well. So if you buy your bread, then you can reuse the bags. Cereal bags are really strong, and they make really good, well, they're just good for storing anything again. Again, you might need to give them a rinse, a bit of a wash. Wrapping paper, I always reuse wrapping paper wherever I can. I try to open presents really carefully and patiently so that I don't rip them up and I can reuse. Same with gift bags, why wouldn't you? I mean, gift bags can be used time and time again. So reuse everything that you can. Another small thing that you can do that will save you money but also is healthier is to drink water. So if you're in the habit of drinking gallons of tea, as I tend to be, or loads of soda or squash or juice, instead drink water. I mean, I do drink a lot of water. I will always have a glass somewhere nearby me. It's not entirely free from your tap, but it's almost free. The cost is negligible, and it's better than bottled water. Don't drink bottled water because that's expensive and there's so much plastic waste involved. If you really hate the taste of your water, then you could consider investing in a decent water filter. I don't bother. I think it's fine. I know some people say our water's a bit chlorinated, but I don't really, my taste buds aren't so sophisticated that I'm that bothered. So I just drink it out of the tap. It's absolutely fine. You could put it in the fridge for a bit actually, and if it is a bit chlorinated or it has that slight taste, that will tend to go when you stick it in the fridge for a couple of hours. And when you go out, get into the habit of taking a bottle of water with you so that you can save on buying drinks out. Yeah, drink more water. Cheers. Next on my list is to take food out with you. So whether you're going to work and taking a packed lunch or going out for the day with the family, get into the habit of taking food with you. So it's really nice. It's part of the day out. It's nice to have a picnic with you, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on that. It will save you loads of money and time queuing as well, particularly if you've got hungry kids. You've got to queue for a cafe, and often the food is a bit and you think, well, I've spent a lot of money on this. If you've got a picnic, then you can still go and buy an ice cream. And that's really fine. Even if you're just going into town and you think I'm likely to get a bit peckish, and rather than hit McDonald's, I will just have a cereal bar in my bag. It's a lot healthier as well, isn't it? And it's cheaper, it will save you money. Number 7 on my list is to avoid the shops. I know you can't avoid the shops completely, but you can avoid retail therapy. So avoid going to shopping malls unless you've got something very specific you need to get from them. So if you want to go shopping, if you want to save money, don't go shopping for fun. Have different sorts of days out instead. So rather than meeting friends in the shopping mall, you could perhaps take a picnic to the park, or go for a walk in the woods, or meet by the beach, or there's lots of things you can do. Have a meal at each other's houses. Just do something different. Think out of the box. If you're absolutely desperate for some retail therapy, I would suggest that you find a local car boot sale, or a yard sale, or maybe a jumble sale if you're really lucky, or even go to a charity shop, but take a fixed amount of cash with you so that you don't overspend, and try to only buy things that you will actively use that are useful to you and that aren't too expensive. Number 8 on my list is use your library. They're a fantastic free resource, so use them, because many councils are looking to make changes, looking to make cuts, and if they think people aren't using the libraries, they will cut them, and we kind of take them for granted and they will be gone. So I really love books, but buying new all the time can be really expensive. I also really love audiobooks. I find they're great when I'm just pottering around the house or in the garden, or going even out a dog walk. So you can use your library for those too. So I use a brilliant app called BorrowBox at our local library does, and lots of libraries use a similar scheme, if not BorrowBox. They use something similar, and you can get free ebooks and free audiobooks, as I say. So I am currently listening to Anatomy of a Scandal by Sarah Vaughan, and very good it is too. So that's costing me nothing. I could get an audio membership, a Kindle membership, or something like that, Audible, I mean. But that would cost me lots of money, and this doesn't cost me anything. So use your library. If you like reading, use it. The next tip on my list is to cut up old towels, or maybe old t-shirts, and use them as cleaning cloths, dishcloths, or kitchen towel. I use an old towel. I think I've shown this before on another blog. I use just an old towel cut up. This is quite old, it's been used for loads of things, and I haven't bought any kitchen roll for ages because I just use this. It's really good for just mopping things up. If the cats are nearly always tipping over their water bowl, so quick wipe up with that. If I need to mop up a spill in the kitchen, I'll use that and then just stick it in the washing machine, and they get used again and again and again. T-shirts are really good for cleaning because they tend to be quite lint free, so they're good for cleaning mirrors and that kind of thing. So cut up an old t-shirt rather than throwing it out. And number 10 on my list might feel a bit controversial or preachy, but I would say if you really want to save money and embrace a frugal lifestyle, stop smoking. And I know that's very easy to say and very difficult to do. I am an ex-smoker. I gave up in my mid-20s, and I'm really so glad that I did. It's saved me loads of money, but really more importantly, it's been so much better for my health. I had a very, very bad chest infection, and I think it really scared me. I just couldn't breathe. It scared me, and that really made me give up. My daughter gave up though, using an app called Quit Tracker, and it's a really useful little app because it showed her how much money she saved, how many days she was smoke free, how many cigarettes she hadn't smoked, and even how many days they thought she would live extra because she hadn't been smoking. So it's a really good little app, but there are other similar apps as well like that. you're literally burning money if you smoke. And I know it's obvious, and again, I just know it's easy to say it, and it's a really tough thing to do. But there are resources out there. The NHS website, for example, has a whole quit smoking thing. Your local pharmacist will also advise you on how to give up smoking. So if you possibly can, give up smoking. That would be a really good thing for your long-term health and the health of your wallet. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed my list of small frugal things that will save you a lot of money over time. It's worth just embracing small frugal habits as part of your lifestyle, and you just save lots of money. You won't even notice that you're saving it if you just do some little things and kind of embrace these little frugal habits. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget, give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe, or consider subscribing as well. And don't forget to set your notifications so that you see when I have posted something new. Till next time, see you then.